We all know how difficult it can be in the game to meet certain stat requirements to progress, especially through some of the newer, later game content where the thresholds are ridiculously insane. So it would be very handy if we had a champion that could actually allow us to build for one stat and also benefit on another. And that is exactly what we're going to be talking about here today. We have an ongoing event for Mithrala Lifebane where you can get yourself all the way up to a 5-star blessing. I previously only had her 2-star Awaken, so I've already claimed for myself the 3-star, and I am actually pushing my way to try and get to at least the 4-star Awakening because I think she's definitely going to benefit from it. The 3-star is definitely important though because you do get the extra 600 defense there, which is quite nice for her. The 5-star would be very nice as well. You could really start to consider running, polymorph or those sorts of things on her. So I think this is a fantastic event. I think everybody should be going for this as much as you possibly can because even if you don't get all the way to her, you can still get some very juicy rewards in here as well for your account. And we are of course talking about Mithrala Lifebane. I forget if I said that or not. This is her here. I actually went through and rebuilt her today, and my god, she is looking juicy. Let's go ahead and hop into her kit. A1 attacks 2 times at random. Each hit 100% chance of placing a 5% poison debuff for 2 turns. Damage based on defense, by the way. A2 attacks all enemies, places a hex debuff for 2 turns. Also places an increased defense and the big version of increased attack on all allies for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. So not only is she helping your team survive or setting up defensive-based damage dealers like Ragash or Harima, she's also helping your team do a little bit more damage output and setting up offensive-based damage dealers like, for example, Foley or any sort of Queen Ava, champions like that, Sun Wukong, anybody who's doing damage based on attack, and of course her damage is based on defense once again. A3 removes all debuffs from all allies, then places a 25% strengthen and a shield buff equal to 30% of this champion's max HP on all allies for 2 turns. Now this is already an insane kit, but you might say, well, it's not really worthy of being a Void Legendary. Let's go ahead and look at her passive where things get really wild. Whenever this champion is attacked by an enemy under a hex, has a 50% chance of applying a petrification debuff on the attacker for 1 turn. So petrification will essentially remove all buffs from an enemy as well as block any other buffs being applied. So it's essentially a block buffs and a block, it's just a block buffs and a strip essentially. So it's a very, very strong debuff to have on a kit. It's a very, very strong debuff to bring, especially in somewhere like Arena. Whenever an ally is attacked by an enemy under a hex, debuff has a 30% chance of applying a petrification debuff on the attacker for 1 turn. So you have a 50% chance of placing a petrification when she's attacked and a 30% chance of placing a petrification when your ally is attacked. She also increases this champion's resistance. The amount by which it is increased is equal to the amount of accuracy this champion has. Essentially, simply put, you do not have to build her with any resistance whatsoever. You can just stack a shit ton of accuracy on her, and her resistance is also going to soar through the roof because of that. She also has an aura of accuracy in all battles by 80, which is one of the best accuracy auras that you can have. I think it might actually be one of the best in the game, essentially. Let's go ahead and take a look at her masteries. I do, of course, have her coming down to Eagle Eye. There's also some other stuff that you could do, though, like, for example, Unshakable if you just want a little bit more resistance on her. Keep in mind, though, the more accuracy you can stack, the better, because that's going to directly inflate her resistances as well. I do have her also coming down to get some better shields and everything like that, as well as extending buffs, and then I do also have her extending her debuffs there as well. You could easily go with counterattack masteries if you're running her somewhere like Clan Boss, especially if you want those poisons to be going up. In case you're curious how you get this team, or this champion rather, it's actually free for everyone to obtain. All you have to do is farm the Hydra and get your chests per week, and you'll slowly acquire fragments for Mithrala Lifebane over time. So that is insane. This champion is acquirable by every single person who plays the game. She's almost a guaranteed champion. In terms of artifacts, let's go ahead and take a look at what I have. Obviously, we're prioritizing essentially HP, speed, and accuracy with a little bit of defense thrown in there as well. There is definitely some very decent pieces here on Mithrala. Of course, she is definitely one of the best built champions on my particular account. This piece especially is quite nice. If only this crit damage went to accuracy or speed, it would be insane. We have HP ascensions on all of the lowers as well to try and get her just a little bit more survivable, the exception being her chest plate, of course, which is an accuracy chest plate with an accuracy ascension. Considering that, the build that we have on her is actually still pretty bonkers. We have 76,000 HP, 4,000 defense, 292 speed, 658 accuracy, and 158 resistance, which basically means that my effective resistance is going to be sitting around 800, so she's going to be able to essentially resist anybody with about a 90% chance all the way up until at least 600 to 700 accuracy in most cases, which is pretty insane. Keep in mind, she definitely has been power crept a little bit since some champions came into the game that can place increased accuracy. So like Lady Mikage, for example, is very strong against the Mithrala, as well as any sort of a champion that ignores resistance, which at this point is pretty much just the mythical champions. Like I mentioned, in terms of gear, you're definitely focusing on the accuracy and then HP, defense, all that sort of good stuff. Use case for this champion, and I'll throw my infographic up on screen here now so you can see the priority stats and all that sort of good stuff. Use case for this champion is essentially everywhere in the game. She's being used in a lot of my teams, especially if I'm trying to speed farm, because her hex is very nice, so she is actually getting used somewhere like Spider's Den as well, along with a Kemptum. You can use her in Ice Golem, again, to place the Hex or to help keep your team alive with her full cleanse, as well as her shields, as well as her strengthen. So she is fantastic. I have definitely seen her run in the Sand Devils a little bit as well, and you could probably get some use out of her inside Phantom Shoguns. She's definitely going to shine inside Cursed City. You're going to be able to use her against a lot of the tougher stages where she is available to be picked. She's going to help to carry your team through there. Doom Tower, of course. She's absolutely fantastic, not only for climbing, but also for a lot of the bosses that you'll face, especially something like Griffin, where you can place, all of those poisons on him, because keep in mind, she is bringing that poison A1 as well. Very useful against the Nether Spider too, to do that cleanse, to do that AoE hex, to try and get the petrification on the Spiderlings. And she, of course, is an absolute beast inside the arena. So we are actually going to go ahead and hop into the arena here and see if we can take on some teams with my Mithrala. Something like this here could be nice. We do have a cleanser though, which makes it a little bit tougher. I think something like this would be quite awesome here. So let's go ahead and switch over to this team here, essentially. We are going to switch out the Lady Mikage though, and we're going to bring in Mithrala instead. So Mithrala is essentially once again going to help to set up our Harima, which is our defensive-based damage dealer. You could also use Mithrala in some sort of a stone skin set. This is absolutely insane, by the way, that we just outsped their entire team with a Armand's that isn't even that fast. Not sure how this team is in gold 5, but it is what it is, I suppose. So we're going to come in, we're going to place that Hex on everybody. She does a decent little chunk of damage as well, and you can see that we've now set up our Harima to do a lot of damage there, so she absolutely destroys them. And not only that, like I mentioned, she gets the increased attack away on our team as well. So if you have an attack-based damage dealer, she's going to do some damage on that front too. Let's go ahead and refresh. These teams are a little bit questionable in terms of their quality. We could go ahead and try to run it against a team like this. I think perhaps we'll do this, though, instead. Not really worried about a speed aura. I doubt we're going to outspeed them. I am, however, concerned that she might not have the resistance to take care of this Armand's. We will have to see. The Armand's is, of course, in Stone Skin as well, which isn't very fun. My Armand's opens with his A1, which is kind of questionable. She does resist, which is quite nice, so we can come in and essentially cleanse those stuns off, which is amazing. Everybody gets provoked, though, which is not so amazing. I hope she's able to come back around to her A2 fairly quickly and get it up onto the Armand so that he has a chance to be petrified. There we go. Boom. The A3 goes away. The nice thing I like too about facing Duchess teams is obviously they don't cleanse, so he's going to come in with his A3 right away, and there's a very solid chance that he'll get petrified. There it is. So our Harima doesn't actually get stunned because of that petrification, which is quite nice. Extra turn coming in from Rotos there is definitely a little bit annoying. We do have the increased defense on us as well, of course, because of the Mithrala there. So we're going to go ahead and hit into the Duchess there a few times. Now, I'm not entirely sure if we're going to win this fight just because we lost our damage dealer there, which is a bit unfortunate. We don't really need the shields or anything like that yet, so we'll just hold off on them. Our Pythion is getting absolutely clobbered there as well. Let's go ahead and bring in the A2 on our Armands. He gets frozen, which is unfortunate. We are going to go ahead and res, though. I think it was the Tormund that had the freeze capabilities there with the turn meter steal and all that sort of good stuff. So we'll go ahead and we'll sheep the Tormund again. Remove those pesky buffs as well. We need to get Mithrala to come in here and do some good stuff in terms of getting her buffs up and everything like that. So let's go ahead. Let's get the increased defense on us. Let's get the Hex on them. Let's go ahead and smack into the Rotos just to try to push back some of his cooldowns, which is nice. We do get stripped, which is not so nice. We do have the protected block debuffs up, though, which is pretty good. We're going to go ahead and AoE. Everybody's provoked now. We have some counterattacks coming in, but we do also get a few petrifications there going her way, which is nice. He gets petrified as well. You can really see, even if we don't win this fight, just how insane she is at supporting the rest of your team. Now, if you think about this, and if you transition it into even a PvE environment where you're trying to climb Doom Tower, or you're trying to do something like that, right? She can absolutely assist with that as well. She is an insane champion. It's not just use in the arena. She's also very good for live arena, though, for, again, resisting those Armands. Now that I have her rebuilt, I can probably fairly effectively use her in the live arena. So I'm very excited to see how that goes. We get the Hex coming in on everybody too. And since she's so damn high on the accuracy, she's not really going to struggle to place any sort of debuffs or anything like that, which is nice. We're just going to go ahead and keep hitting into this team here. I'm fairly certain that we can win against them. We're going to get the shields and everything like that up. I don't think the Harima is going to go down again now, which is nice. So we're essentially just going to keep healing here. Let's go ahead and let's slam into the Duchess with her A2. You can see we're starting to do a bit more damage there because Harima, of course, does get stronger the longer the fight goes on, which is pretty swanky. We got a Polymorph proc there, which is a bit unfortunate. I think that's a 6-star Duchess. Yeah, it is. That's crazy. So that is unfortunate, but it is what it is. Let's go ahead and let's see if we can slam into the Duchess here with the Harima's A3 right away. Everybody is dead except that pesky Rotos. We're going to go ahead and throw it on auto. And now I won't lie, this was actually a very tanky team and quite a scary team in all honesty as well, considering the champions that they had, but we went ahead and took them down. Again, we're at about 3.5 minutes here though, so that could be significantly faster if you had done it fully on auto, or if you were just a bit quicker with the button presses there. So one thing to keep in mind, as with a lot of champions that used to be very meta and very good for the game, Narcisse does heavily counter her because, of course, she places that Strengthen on her A3, and Narcisse is going to place the double hit if there is a Strengthen. So I'll actually go against this team, and we'll see what we can do here. Maybe we'll beat them, maybe we won't, we'll have to see. We are actually a little bit slower on most of them, so the Ankara was faster. We could easily go ahead and sheep the Narcisse here, which I think we'll do, because then we can focus on taking out the Ankara, which would be quite nice. We're going to go ahead and get the AoE Hex as well, which also means we're going to get the increased defense, of course. The Ankara is super tanky, though. Granted, we had to burst through her shield, and then we also had to deal with the UDK hit there as well, so it makes sense that we're not going to do a whole lot of damage to her, unfortunately. We're going to go ahead and get the Strengthen and the shield up there just to block a little bit of that damage if it comes in from the UDK. We can steal their turn meter once again. Not stealing the turn meter from the Ankara, though, unfortunately. She's just a little bit too tanky there. We do actually take down pretty much everybody. You can see the power of the AoE coming in from Harima. That is definitely assisted, though, obviously, by having the increased defense coming in from the Mithrala. I don't think we'd be doing anywhere near that level of damage if that wasn't present. So we're going to go ahead and smack. It goes into the UDK. I will just throw this on auto, actually, and we will manually target the Ankara there and just see how long this takes us or what we can do. We get the protected buff coming in on the Harima, which is quite nice, so she doesn't have block buffs or anything crazy like that. I find Armand's, his AI is definitely a little bit scuffed, where he's like not prioritizing his A3 when he should be. Like, he definitely should have A3'd there, but he essentially just went into an A1 again for some weird reason. There's the double hit coming in because our Narcisse is absolutely insane. So we will go ahead and back out of that one. If I had manualed it and I was able to target the Narcisse there, that would have been pretty slick. Since live arena just started, I am actually going to go ahead and queue up for a fight and see if we can make use of the Mithrala Harima combination. So a little bit of a strat I like to do these days, actually, instead of just being one of those brainless bots that picks Armands every single fight. If I'm picking first, I actually like to get myself a Wukong, because he is definitely one of the best attack-based nukers on my account right now. That then means that I know for sure one of the picks are going to be going to Armands on the enemy team anyways, so that's essentially who I'll just end up banning, and it's not really a big deal. We do have our Arbaeus here, who is of course going to place the ally protections, and I believe, and stone skins and all those sorts of good things. It might not be ally protection, actually. I believe it's revive on death. Not overly familiar with the champion. We're going to go ahead and we're going to bring in the combo here, the combo that we're trying to show off. Let's see what else he picks. I still do have room for something like a UDK, of course, if he's going to bring some sort of a single target damage dealer. So he does bring a Sifi and a Grazer. I'm guessing the next pick is probably going to be a Rotos, so we will get that UDK in there. And then we should probably bring an additional support champion, so we could bring a Crixia or a Mikage. Both of those would be fairly decent options, I would say. Mikage is going to pair fairly well with Harima, though. We could also bring a Pythion, of course, but I don't think he'll be particularly useful in this fight. So we are kind of glass cannoning. We're depending on being able to go first, which probably isn't going to go well. I do notice, though, that everybody is inside Polymorph, so he's not going to have an intimidating presence aura. So even if we ban the Armands and he picks the Arbaeus as her 30% increased speed, we are still going to be a little bit stronger because of the 5-star awakened intimidating presence on our son Wukong. So that's definitely something to keep in mind there as well. We got Georgia coming in as the nuker. I think we go ahead and we ban the Armands. He does ban Harima, actually, which is perfectly fine. He didn't want to go against the combination of Harima and Mikage, I guess, which is perfectly understandable. In this particular situation, though, we are sitting in a pretty good spot, I would say, because we have the speed aura. We also have the Mithrala, who can play some CC and some shields and all that sort of good stuff. And we do also have the UDK to try and help soak up some hits coming in. So that's also going to fully counter the Sifi's A1. She can't just control us with that, which is nice. So let's see if we get to go first here. My Mikage is at about 345 speed. I fully expect his Sifi at least to be faster, but she isn't, which is interesting. So we're going to go ahead and we might just AoE, not AoE, sorry, we might just ally attack into the Sifi there. I think that would be a fairly solid way to go. We could also switch forms and go for the strip, which might actually be better. So I think we're going to do that. Although she's then going to be able to essentially just cleanse, but I think we'll also just go for the stun here. Yeah, we get the stun on both of them, which is pretty awesome, so they both missed their turn there, essentially. Somebody is also built out inside Bolster set, which is definitely going to help to keep them alive, obviously. Our son Wukong should be coming in momentarily as well, so we might be able to get a strip there with him, which would be pretty juicy. She gets polymorphed, unfortunately. We got a strip coming in there. Georgid is probably going to come in and absolutely slam us right now, although Wukong does have an AO, or like a revive on death as well, so he's coming straight back. Doesn't have to wait for the cooldowns or anything like that. We're going to go ahead and we're going to strip everybody here, which is quite nice. I hope we cycle around to the Mithrala fairly quickly. She's going to get up her revive on death, I believe, which is perfectly fine, though. We can just come in with the Wukong and slam into somebody with our A2. So we have some buffs coming in now, some heals, as well as some shields and some strengthens, which is nice. We did override, obviously, the shield from the UDK, so we kind of got double utility there as well. UDK is also very strong if you build them in a bolster set, especially if you can still get that 1-turn stone skin from 3 stone skin accessories and then 1 from your upper, which is quite nice. I hope our Wukong is able to cut in here. That would be amazing. He doesn't. The Georgid should only have his A2 is available, so he takes out and he gets an extra turn. I don't know if he's going to be able to reset. No, he doesn't. So that's good. Let's go ahead and just blast into the Sifi here and hope we get the kill on her. We don't, but we do sheep her, which is quite nice. We'll go ahead and we'll try to decrease some turn meter here, put some sleep, which will be good. We might get destroyed here, in all honesty. This definitely is not the strongest team that I have picked for myself. I don't like doing like champion showcases and stuff like that a lot of times because I feel a little bit locked into like whatever champion I chose to go with, which isn't fun depending on the situation. We get the stuns up there on the Sifi and the Grazer, of course. She's now petrified as well, which means she might stay alive. She does, which is pretty nice. Sun Wukong might have a chance of coming back here. We'll have to see. I don't think so, though. I think this might be it. That might be all she wrote. Let's go ahead and get that decrease there. Boom. Sun Wukong is now back, and we might actually cut in there as well. He should also have his A3 available, I believe. Yes, so let's go ahead and do this. Are you kidding me? Oh, that was going to be the big money moment where I just AoE, take down their Georgid, take down some of the other support champions, but nope. He just has to get sheeped. Who's sheeping him anyways? Is it the Sifi? Probably the Sifi and probably the Arbaeus are both getting some stuff done there. I'm hoping I get some 5-star awakening soon because having the sheep on my champions would just be so game-changing. Some 6-star awakenings would be just as good, I would say. Sifi's going to be able to come in and most likely sleep us here, though, which is just not good stuff. Yeah, we missed the turn. I think that's GG, but we will stay just in case. You never know what will happen. Maybe they'll keep getting weak hits, although Grazer's probably going to finish him here. Yeah, he has 63k. That is insane. It's unfortunate that I couldn't show it off as well as I wanted to, but I think you guys probably get the idea about what I was going for there. That being said, Mithrala Lifebane is an absolutely fantastic champion basically everywhere in the game. Hopefully this guide helped you figure out a little bit how you want to build her. Thank you guys all so much for checking out the video, and I'll see you next time.